Hey, what's up, everyone? This is the Jack of One Trade podcast. I'm your host, Morgan Woodington, and I'm joined here today by...
I'm co-host Marissa Pacheco.
And we are also here with a guest named Shawn Labadie, a dance choreographer.
Yes, hi everybody. I am so honored to be here at Jack of One Trade. I can't wait to tell you about my company that I love so much.
We are honored to have you here today. So we are here today to talk about dance and the talent that is dance.
Awesome. Well, I am an open book. What you want to know?
Well, when you think about dancing, how do you feel about dancing as a talent? Because I know it goes hand in hand with music, and I know there's so many different types of dancing as well.
Yeah. Well, there are several different dance genres. I have experienced just about all of them. For me, dance is very much a way of expressing myself. It's kind of the vehicle I use to uplift people. So for me, it's not just about movement. I feel like just as a little girl, I was very, very shy. And dance kind of gave me a voice in a lot of ways. I was just like, oh no, don't look at me. I'm so scared of everything. And then I don't know, through music videos or, seeing some of my favorite music artists. And of course, they always have background dancers and all of that. So it was just like, wow, like I want to do that, And, you try different things, but it just, the love of art and specifically dance just never left me. So just throughout my life, it has been just a way that I kind of speak in a lot of ways and express myself. And then I find that I'm able to present opportunities for other people to do the same just through, teaching them how to move.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And it is a very expressive talent. Every time I see dance, I am not a good dancer. I'll put it out there right away. And I feel like a lot of people in the world say that. And I'm sure it's something that you can learn. I'm sure it's like math. If you sit down and do it, maybe you can figure it out. But
not math.
Not math, right? Such a hard subject. I won't compare it to math, but it is a talent that definitely takes some practice, I'm sure.
Yes.
So with going with that, what piece of advice would you give someone that would want to start in your career?
Well, I would just say, just start training, just find community. I think a lot of times people think, okay, dance, so I need to find a dance class inside of a studio. That's the easiest way to go about it, because then you have trainers who are skilled to teach and everything, and you can have like a good foundation. But, sometimes you can just find people outside who like dancing. I know in Virginia there is an up and coming like freestyle dance community who they just freestyle, So I would just say find community, find a studio, find a teacher that you really like. Come to Inspire Arts Collective and train with us. We have several different classes. Well, actually, right now we scale back a little bit. We have Inspire Kids is one class. It's for ages 8 and up, and that's on every Saturday at 11:30. And then we also have a ladies class. It's specifically for women. It's very beginner friendly. You build community and you learn from different guest instructors. Everything from hip hop or jazz or ballet. So we just explore together. And then I also have a performance class. If you're really into dance, you can come and train with us at like a more professional level. So, yeah.
That's one thing I've noticed about dancing too is, as I said, I think it goes hand in hand with music. When I think of dancing, I always think of, like plays that you would find in a theater, Hamilton or something of that sort, those sorts of plays.
Yeah.
Dear Evan Hansen, they all have some sort of dance that goes along with it. So there's something visual to look at the same time you're listening to the music being played.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm a little unorthodox sometimes. So like, I love to explore. I love to see some type of instrument, like a violin or something like that, and then like, I don't know, it could be a hip hop dancer with it, totally like, what? Like, I wouldn't put those two together, but it really, when you kind of, explore different types of music and different dance styles, it can really be beautiful just to kind of mix it up sometimes. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things you mentioned that I really liked is how you said that you danced as a kid.
Yeah.
I think when you're a child and you're just starting to learn different hobbies and stuff and what you're into, I think every kid goes through that phase, and it's not always a phase. It can become a career where you try to sing. Sometimes you figure out you can't, or you go through a time in your life where you try to dance. Every kid that I've seen, that I've met, maybe not all kids, but most kids that I've seen love to dance at some point. And before some of the insecurities of adulthood come into it, they just dance freely.
Right. Yeah. It's really beautiful. I mean, I have a son, actually. It might not look like it because I kind of look like I'm 17. But I have a 4-year-old, and, I think all kids, when they're first born, they hear music and they just kind of have this bounce to them. And then, especially for little girls, I think sometimes parents try and put them like in ballet or something. And then, you try it, and I don't feel like dance is like a career for everybody, but it is something that we naturally do. I think just having like a little groove in your car is really fun, when you're hearing music. So yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree that, we start off dancing, but it might not. I think it kind of actually follows you throughout life, even if you don't make it a career. Like, whether it's through prom or you're like your first dance at, your wedding or something like that. But yeah, dance is fun.
Yeah. And speaking of prom and weddings and stuff, dance can be one of those things that also makes people really nervous. If you don't dance a whole lot, just thinking about, oh my gosh, I got to dance at my wedding. What if I trip and fall on my face?
Absolutely. Yes. Man. And that's a part of like what I love to do. That's why I love to not just be a dance choreographer, but an instructor. And that's why I call my company Inspire Arts Collective, because I like to kind of address some of those like insecurities, because we all have them. Like, I don't care like how long you've been a dancer, you will get in a class and be like, oh my God, this was totally like not a part of what I've normally trained in. And you just like, I like to kind of give encouragement, because we all go through it. But especially if you haven't danced before or it's been a long time, you kind of need somebody there to be like, hey, it's all right to mess up. Mm-hmm. But I got you, I'm actually, it's funny you say a wedding dance, because this coming month, I'm actually walking alongside a bride and her groom to teach them like a couple of dances for their reception. And the husband doesn't dance. So she's just like, oh, we need to figure this out.
This man can't mess this up.
I'm like, okay, what does your dress look like? Because we don't need you tripping. And it's okay. Like, come to the studio. We're going to have a couple of sessions, and I'm going to make sure you all feel comfortable at the end of the day, because, you just want to have fun, so that's what I do. That's why I say what I do is much more the dance, because I like to just give people the freedom to just be like, hey, dance is supposed to be fun, not stressful, and I think sometimes people think of dancing like, oh my God, I have to be so perfect. No, it's okay. It's all right. And if you do mess up and people do like see it, half the time they don't even know you messed up because they don't know the steps. So
yeah, that is helpful to think about it that way. So if Marissa and I were to come to your studio to learn how to dance, how would you go about, and actually I should ask you first, Marissa, has dancing been a big part of your life? Because for me, I'm an amateur.
No, not really. I did grow up in a very like salsa kind of dancing. So that's kind of what I know. I've never tried hip hop. I've never gone out of, I guess, my comfort zone about, the cha-cha and all of that kind of stuff. Now, the being part of your life, it's not as big as for Shawn.
If we were to come to your studio as new dancers that know a little bit about dance, like you said, a little bit about salsa and some of the other types of dances. I don't know too much about dances in general, except for what I've seen on Dancing with the Stars. How do you go about teaching new dancers that really don't quite have that confidence yet to just go out there and tear up the floor, you know?
Yeah, it takes time. I think about our Inspire kids, and a lot of our dancers, whether adult or kids, they come in and they're just like, it's either been a long time or like, I just want to try, I want to have fun. I think most people just want to have fun. So I think I kind of approach it like that. I just have upbeat music, and, we kind of clear the air a little bit, have like an icebreaker. And then from there, I teach a routine, and I just make people feel comfortable, and a lot of the way that I teach is repetitive. So then it's like, okay, I've learned this, maybe I messed up, but I think sometimes it's all about the environment. And if you have people around you who are like rooting for you, and like, hey, this is class, I'm supposed to mess up here, it makes it so much easier. So that's how I approach it, especially with a dancer who has either never danced before or is coming back to dance from a long absence. I just kind of make them feel comfortable. And then with that repetition, you find that you just start growing without even realizing it, because it's like, oh, I'm amongst people who care, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, we're dancing, we're having fun. It's like, oh, I'm really interested in this now. And then you actually start to push yourself, and then, you have that community. So that's how I do it. Maybe I'm telling all my secrets. But that's how we do it.
It sounds like, from what I understood, that you really get people to love it, like to want to learn more.
Yeah. It's like you're introduced to it. I think sometimes in like the dance studio world, sometimes, you have placements in different classes to see like what your level is and stuff like that. But I know what I'm good at, and I'm good at the beginner stage, as well as working with advanced dancers. So I kind of cater to both sides of that. But I especially love when people come to me who are like, I don't know about this dance thing. And I'm like, oh, really? Challenging subject.
I got you.
Because by the time you leave here, you're going to be like, oh, I'm in. What do I have to do? And then, maybe you don't want to do it professionally. I know a couple of my dancers who don't want to do it professionally, but they're just like, I have the best time when I'm here. That's great. That's all I can ask for. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do either of you have the TikTok app?
I do.
And here's the reason I mentioned that. One thing that's really brought my attention to dance recently, and especially for my generation, I'm a Gen Z, is TikTok has a lot of dancers. And even if they're not dancers, it's just people that are brought into that dance community because they're not always simple. Some of those shuffles, I'm like, Lord have mercy. But they have dances that people can pick up on pretty quickly, and they're fun. And I think a lot of people are starting to kind of lean towards the hobby and careers of dancing because they're inspired by seeing other people dance through that app.
Absolutely.
See, so that comes in with like, dancing is such a huge thing that gets people together. Like, that's literally all I see on TikTok is dancing and people singing. And so,
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like especially in the pandemic and when everybody was in quarantine, I feel like TikTok dances and everything just like skyrocketed, and everybody was like trying to learn like the latest moves. I know I was. And it's been like a thing. I love to see it because I don't feel like before the pandemic people were really like seeking to just learn different random dances online before. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right about that. I think when the pandemic happened and a lot of bad stuff came out of that, but there were some good things. And one of the things I noticed is more people started to hone in on hobbies and stuff that they might want to do when they had free time, because a lot of people got that opportunity and used it to do something fun.
True. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm all about the TikTok.
Yeah, it's a fun app. You get stuck on it scrolling sometimes, just hours and hours. Kind of embarrassing, but
yeah.
I'm sorry?
Are either one of you on TikTok?
Yeah.
I can follow you both.
Yes. Yes, I send TikToks all the time to everybody. I'm like, this is you, or let's do that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great way to connect with people because it's got such a wide audience on there too. Even if you're not into like dance or music, they've got something for student life or work life or being a mother. It's such a wide audience from that app.
I have learned so many tricks and tips from TikTok. It's ridiculous. I actually just made a tres leches cake the other day from TikTok, and it was so good.
Ooh. Wow, wait, what is that?
Tres leches?
Yes.
It's a 3-layered milk cake. So it's wet. It's a wet cake.
Okay.
And you put 3 different kinds of milks in it, and you could top it with some like whipped cream and some strawberries.
Ooh. Oh, that sounds delicious. Okay. I shall be looking that up too.
Yeah.
So I do have a question that I wanted to ask. So what's the biggest challenge that you are facing in your role right now, and how are you tackling it?
The biggest challenge right now, I would say, for a long time, it was trying to decide if I wanted to personally have like our own building, because right now we share a building with another studio. So just to be clear, Inspire Arts Collective is my company, but we share the building space with another company. And I was just like, I'm wondering if I want us to have like our own, like solid, like our like name on the wall, blah, blah, blah. And I think recently, just even through the pandemic, I'm seeing how beautiful the internet really is and how it's really been connecting us in a way that is just so different. And we've been kind of able to not just be in one space, but I also like serve at a elementary school. So I teach there too, but under the name of Inspire Kids. So I can kind of travel. So at first that was like that's a challenge. Like, is that something that I want? I think that now it's more of, gosh, what is it? I honestly feel like we're really blessed right now.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I like to hear that.
Yeah, I feel like we're really blessed right now because I think that, I don't know. I'm so convinced, I think, of what we do. And I love dance and I love connecting people. And I actually changed the name of our Inspire Kids class from Beginner Hip Hop to Inspire Kids. There's like a whole, there's so much rich culture and just backstory to a lot of these, a lot of dance genres. And so I realized that in connecting with other dancers, that I wanted our kids to just be exposed to a lot of different dance genres, not just, hip hop. So I changed our names to Inspire Kids because I just like to inspire people. So that's where I am. I just feel like we're really blessed. I like to collaborate and connect with different people from different backgrounds, who can also uplift our kids and adults too. And that's where I am. I just want to do more traveling, do more podcasts, do more like talking about what I love, because I really believe in the transformative power of dance. I really do, because I know what it did for me. And it just gave me community. It gave me a sense of purpose. So yeah, that's where we are right now.
Did anyone inspire you?
Absolutely. So many people. Shout out to so many people. I mean, famous choreographers like Lorianne Gibson, or I don't know. I'm reading her book right now, so she's the first one who rolls off the tip of my tongue. But so many others who have paved the way. Fatima, hi-hat, creative directors, and, people like Sean Bankhead, different choreographers inspire me all the time. But people that I could actually see, touch, feel. There was a woman, her name was Jeanette Reed. She was like one of my first teachers, instructors. Let's see, Christopher K. Morgan in the DC area inspires me. So many people in this community that I have an opportunity to either teach with or dance with all the time. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I love not just dance and choreographers. I think that's what kind of informs my work too. I really love people with a story. I get sucked into stories. So if there's an inspiring individual somewhere online, I'm looking them up and I'm learning their story. And I'm like, ooh, that is beautiful. I want my life to look like that. Because that's, I feel like ultimately we're all looking for that sense of fulfillment to like, I'm doing exactly just what feels good. And so I look for that. I look to just like be around people who are on that same wave. And I just learn from them and we just exchange together and it works. It works.
Yeah. I think it's great when you can get to that point where you're like, I'm not going to necessarily rush through life, but I'm going to try to kind of take my time and do what makes me happy.
Yeah.
While I have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. That is probably the thing that when you were talking about the challenges, I think as an artist, sometimes you can have in your mind like, if I were this big place, then I would be happy. I think that is what I am currently figuring out is like what you said, like just I'm already very blessed where I am and I'm able to make impact where I am. And it's a journey. And if I get to, these big lights, then that's amazing. But I'm not gonna, think any less of where I am because it's really beautiful. I think just as artists, we should, just like we do with our choreography, we should see the beauty in the process of creating, not just the final product,
right. Yeah. And I think something too that a lot of people don't think about is how a lot of small businesses and other such things, when they reach out to just one or two people or, just a group of maybe 20, 30 people, those individuals can spread that that inspiration out even further, so it's actually deeper rooted in the community than you think.
Absolutely.
So you might not be reaching a huge audience initially, but as the word gets out and around, it's actually inspiring a lot of people.
That's awesome. Awesome. Oh, this is great. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite kind of dance that you like to teach? I know you mentioned hip hop, and you were saying that it's called Inspire Kids now, so it's got a wider name.
Yes, because So I don't want to get into that conversation because, hopefully I say this correctly, but with hip hop. It didn't start in studio. So there's just a conversation within just the dance community at large that, certain things aren't necessarily hip hop. It's just a person's choreography, but you can look that up. I don't necessarily think of myself as a hip hop instructor. I'm just a choreographer. I like to interpret music and I like to create stories that make people feel happy or whatever, like I said, inspire people. So I'm a dance choreographer, so I hear music and then it's like, oh, there was a snare and I really want to like hit my shoulder on this part. And when I teach it, I feel like if I feel it, then I know my students will feel it too. It's like the instructor is kind of like the party starter in the room. So if you're like really feeling it, the class is going to feel it too most of the time. That's what I think of myself as.
Yeah, and positive energy is contagious too. If you have one positive person in a room, even if it's all gloom and doom everywhere else,
yes,
it spreads around.
Definitely.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So have you always wanted to be a dance instructor?
It's funny. Not exactly. I went back and forth with singing, actually. You said something about singing, I think
wow.
both of you.
Yeah.
And dancing, because my family is very musical. My mom is a audio engineer, and my sister actually is a Grammy award-winning songwriter.
Wow.
Yeah, she wrote for Beyonce.
Wow.
She was one of the writers on Deja Vu. And so they're very musical. So my mom would have us in the studio all the time and all that. But dance, as we have just such a wonderful history that I just would see it, and everybody would just like egg me on at 5, like, go Shawn, go Shawn. And so it was like the place that I thrived the most. And then I just wanted to be a dancer at one point, and then I don't remember when the choreographer bug hit me. I think I just I probably just heard a song and just wanted to figure it out, or saw somebody and just said, oh, well, they create dances, let me try, or something. I don't know when that happened, but once it did, I haven't looked back, because that's I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
Isn't that so interesting how stuff just sometimes hits you like that? Like one day you'll be going along your way thinking, I'm going to do this in life. And then suddenly you try something, you're like, well, drop the plans. We're going this way.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's actually happened to me about something. Like I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And it's something that I wanted to do since I was like, in elementary school. And then I finally get to college and I'm like, you know what? There's so much to do. Like it just broadened my whole options. And I'm like, nope, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah. What's funny is I actually my undergraduate degree was in network security management. So I was supposed to be in IT. I actually did that for 5 years. And I was horrible at it. I was absolutely horrible. But my dad, he was just like, Shawn, have, kind of that backup plan type of conversation. Like, if dance or art and stuff like that doesn't work out, you can always have this under your belt. So I went and, I worked, and it actually paid for me to go back to school for my arts management degree. But then after that, I was like, I'm really just horrible at this. I have no desire. The money is amazing, but I was like, I have no desire for this. So I'm going to give my all to dance. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really wish a lot of hobbies, and I know there are some out there that pay quite a bit, but I wish that more hobbies had enough, what's the word for it? Enough of a audience of following to where they would pay as good as being a CEO of a business, you know, because some of this stuff, people love it, but it just doesn't have that following that would allow you to get that kind of pay from it.
Yeah. Not unless you just I mean, I know it can happen, but I just think it takes that consistent grind that other jobs just don't require. It's just like, okay, here you go. You have this degree. You can do this. Here's 6 figures or whatever. But yeah, more artistic paths. You kind of have to create your own lane in some ways.
Yeah. And another thing is, too, I didn't mean to make it sound that way. I think a lot of people that go towards art degrees, they get a lot of flack from people where they're like, you're not going to get paid anything,
Yeah.
But if you're doing something that you love, the pay, it matters because you need to eat, obviously. Those things matter, pay your bills and things like that. But if you're not doing something you love, then it's not going to be fun.
Truth. True. So true.
So do you plan on staying and being an instructor, or do you have other goals in mind?
Yeah, so I
so you said, you were talking about traveling, right? So
yes. Yeah, so I would love to actually tour some of my classes. And just serve more kids. especially in that age. And like I said, that's kind of when I got bit by the dance bug, was at a young age, and just being a kid, I think just knowing that even at a young age, you can make a difference too. Like, it's not like, oh, when I get older, I will be, which is cool, like when I grow up, I want to be. But listen, little one, as a little one, you can also be absolutely amazing. And so just spreading that message on a bigger scale too. And like I said, I have that woman class that's all about empowerment. I would just love to, just tour those more, and possibly even choreograph for one of my favorite artists. I'm not going to say which one, but one of them. But that's kind of like what I'm working toward right now. So when it happens, I have to come back to the podcast and be like, I'm back. Yes. It happened. But that's where I am right now.
That'd be so fun.
Yeah.
Get to see her up there.
Yeah. I could see
Don't
it.
remember. Don't forget us little people, okay?
Oh, I feel really blessed just to be, consistently serving my community now. We've been around since we started off as a workshop in 2013 is when we started up as a workshop. And I would travel and have guest instructors teach at different studios around the area. And then we finally found the space we're in now, and we've been there since 2015. So I've met a lot of people just through what I do, and it's been great.
It's back. Okay. I was going to ask you about the women dance class that you were saying, because one thing that I've noticed is, and this, again, it's just from my Dancing with the Stars knowledge, that's the very little dance knowledge that I have. It's from watching that show, but I've noticed that the ladies usually dance a little bit differently than the men. Like they complement each other in the dance, but it is definitely different than whatever the guy's doing. Whatever, even if he's just standing over there and she's doing all the work. It's usually, you can tell that the dance is different for her. So when you teach that class, how much different is that from teaching a class that's mainly aimed towards like the guys learning how to dance? Is there more moves to it? Is it made to complement the guy that they're dancing with, or is it more of just dance on your own and these are some of the things you can do?
Oh, that's a great question. So there's nothing different as far as like how I approach. No, that's not true. Well, I'll just say for the ladies class, it's more about speaking to, like I said before, more mental, emotional, creating that like vibe in the class. Whereas like with guys, I'm not really trying to dig deep. Like, hey guy, how are you feeling right now? They probably look at me like, shit, back up. Just teach me some dance moves. But for the ladies, we can kind of meet on that level, because most of the women in the class, you might have CEOs or teachers, or I met a comedian last night who came to our workshop. Just people from all different walks of life, and some of them are moms, and some of them single and dating, some of them not, blah blah blah. And it's more so just an hour and a half for them to unwind and not be all the things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I feel like as women, we can carry a lot. We're thinking about ourselves. We're thinking about our mom. We're thinking about how we treating our sister, our best friend, our career path, our kid. How am I advancing at work? So just a space where you can be like, girl, just come here and hang out and let's just have some fun. I think that's kind of the difference in it, where we can just kind of talk freely amongst women. Whereas if it's a mixture of, both men and women, we just get to the dancing. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of those conversations can happen regardless of gender, but I will agree with you when you get a lot of ladies together in a room doing a dance or a song or just something fun, some sort of hobby or thing you're doing collectively together. There is a connection there that I can't even explain, but it's different than when it's a mixed group of people in a room.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And then you meet people because I'm all about networking. So, what one person, we had a young lady who had like some physical issues, and she got a bad report from the doctor and all that stuff. And we just had stopped one class just to kind of check in, because I felt like I kind of read the room sometimes. And one of the women just kind of looked kind of down. I was like, how are you guys doing? I don't do that in a really, really large room, but this particular night we just had like, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10. And we just started to share. And then there actually was someone who was a nurse too that had resources. And she was like, hey, call me, So just situations like that, it really pays to be around some powerful women. Just to be like, hey, okay, you need that. I have you, So...
Yeah, it's good to be able to make those connections too in a fun setting and not necessarily serious. Because I think sometimes, at least for me, when I'm put in a serious setting and then asked to make decisions, I don't want to make them. I'm kind of like, I don't want to. I don't feel like it. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is why tests are so difficult. The time's going down. You're just like, I can't do this. They're timing me. I can't think. There's not enough time to think.
Yes.
So is that kind of a similar mindset for dance? Is there ever, because I know that the music, it doesn't stop unless you stop it. So is there ever a point where you're like, whoa, I'm having trouble keeping up? Do you stop the music, or do you just kind of catch up on the steps?
I would say catch up on the steps. Like I would, if there's a dancer who's just like, oh, I messed up. Sometimes I'll hear dancers stop. And they'll be like, Shawn, restart the music. I'm like, first of all, wait a minute. Don't just stop in the middle of the dance. So that's kind of a no-no. Like you just should keep going. That's always, something that dancers or choreographers will encourage. It's just, pick back up again. But it happens. It happens. But, yep, you don't stop the music. You just kind of learn how to, dance to the music and not let the music run you, because I think especially with faster songs, dancers may try to keep up, and sometimes when you just kind of relax and just trust the movement that you've been given or that you create, it works out. Mm-hmm. All of these things really do translate into life, I swear.
They do. They do. I know, just as you were saying that, I was like, that sounds like stuff that's happened to me before, and it doesn't have anything to do with dance, but there's a connection there.
All the time. Yeah, I feel that all the time. Yep. Yeah.
All right. Well, do y'all have anything else to add to our podcast here? Anything else you want to talk about?
Is there anything you want to say that you want to add, or maybe your own questions?
Yeah, do you have questions for us? We can't dance, but can't speak for Marissa, but I can.
Thinking about it, I can't.
We're on the same page.
I think I'm trying to be a little too confident that I'm like, you know what? That one time, I can dance. I'm going to have to go and see Shawn.
Yes. Come see me. Let's see. A question for you all. Well, first off, I just want to say thanks. Thanks for having me. Seriously.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
This has been so much fun. I could talk about dance all day long, but is this something that you all always wanted to do? Like, I told you my story about, going into IT, but then I was like, it just wasn't working out.
For me, no, this is completely out of my comfort zone. And I'm in actually, Phi Theta Kappa with Morgan.
Awesome.
And they sent out an email, asking for a co-host. And I'm like, not in a million years would I ever reply to that email. But I was like, that's the thing. I need to get out there. I need to just not dip my toes anymore. I need to just jump on it. And I did. And so this is something just, I guess, to just, I don't want to say put on my resume, but, put on my list of things that got me out there to do things and to talk and to connect with people. And I met you. And it was very fun. So this is not something, not for me.
Here's a funny thing to add to what you were just saying. When you emailed back, my initial reaction was, yes, I caught one. I got one. I had thought that maybe some people would be interested in it, but I really didn't at that point expect a reply for a co-host to come on the podcast, because it was like the end of the pandemic. It was finals time. I was like, nobody in their right mind. Not to offend you with that statement there. No. I'm very, very glad that you came here today, Shawn, and I'm very glad that you came on to be a co-host for the podcast.
This has been real fun. I've had a blast in hearing you, and this might sound, I guess, what did they say, a cliche, but you really inspired me today to go and actually see you and spread the word about you. And so I've had a great time.
What was the question again? Sorry.
Is this something that you all always saw yourself doing, or yeah?
Not necessarily. I mean, I started this podcast because initially I had heard that they were happening. I was like, oh, podcast, great. I'm not good at talking, but whatever. And then I started thinking about it, and I started to see one of my friends was doing a podcast, so I came in on hers, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is interesting and fun, and I can kind of talk sometimes. And I thought about, it would be so cool if they had one for talents. Because even though my major was science for Thomas Nelson, I got associates of science, and I'm pursuing a further science degree when I go to university. That doesn't necessarily have anything to do with dancing and music and that side of stuff, but I've always liked music and art, and the dance choreography and those sorts of things have always been interesting to me. And I think when you're in one of those technical fields, like you were talking about with the, was it IT? Mm-hmm. When you're in one of those technical fields, I'm not going to say it can necessarily get boring, but you can get overwhelmed with the actual technical part of it to the point that your mind is just brain dead, for lack of a better word. Like you have just you are burnt out. So the talents for me were a nice break, just to be able to see something inspiring and kind of get away from that side of things. 'Cause I love it. I love science and those topics, but I don't want to think about them 24/7 if I can help it. So I started the podcast because I know other people have talents, and I just thought it would be really interesting for them to have a platform to come on and speak about them. And I've really enjoyed just hearing about all of the different talents that are out there and how much people enjoy doing them.
Awesome.
And to bring you on and actually spread, what you're doing, and
thank you.
And I think it's a great thing.
Awesome.
Wow. All right. I am going to wrap up our podcast. Thank you all for tuning in to Jack of One Trade.